Hi guys, today I'm gonna show you how to build a simple to-do list application. So let's start. Open your Xcode 6 and click create a new Xcode project. Let's select single view application and let's call it table view controller. Okay, make sure that language is set to Swift and device is only iPhone. Also, we will not use core data in this tutorial. Click Next. Select place where you want to save your project and click Create. As you can see, we have our project right here. We can run it. Let's see what we've got. And as you can see, it's just only white blank screen. So let's stop it. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's open our main storyboard. Here is our blank view controller, and what we want to use in our app is called table view controller. So let's drag it from here into our storyboard. We don't need anymore our old view controller, you can remove it. And make sure you set your table view controller as initial view controller. You can open attributes inspector and set checkmark right here. Initial scene is initial view controller. So when our application will launch, the first screen it will show will be this table view. Okay guys, also we can remove our old view controller code right here. Let's move it to trash, we don't need it. Let's create a class that will be associated with our table view controller. Let's click new file, attach class. Oh, it's already set up. Select a subclass as UI table view controller and let's call it table view controller. Make sure the language is Swift. Click next, create, and now we've got our table view controller. But it's not associated with our main storyboard. So let's open storyboard, select table view controller, go to identity inspector and set the class we just created, table view controller. From now, our iOS application will know that this table view controller is associated with this table view controller.swift file. Okay, let's take a look at the code. As you can see, we have some commented stuff right here. Mainly our table view is populated using data source protocols, and everything that happens in table view has corresponding methods or functions in our new Swift language that are assigned through delegate protocol. So when user presses, let's run application. When the user presses on a cell, we will receive did select row at index path method call, and a lot of other cool methods and functions that you can use. To see all of them, you can click on UI table view and go to UI table data source. Here are all the methods that can be used to populate the table view. And also you can go back and click on UI table view delegate. There is also a lot of cool methods right here. As you can see, all of them are optional, but in data source we have two methods that are required. That they are called table view number of rows and sections and table view self for row at index path. So if you have a table view in your application, you have to override those two methods. It's not an option, you have to do it. Okay, let's go back to our code. As you can see, we have method called number of sections in table view, and it returns 0. But we want to have in our to-do list application only one section, so let's say it 1. Next method is table view number of rows in section. Here you can specify for each section different values, but we have only one, so let's say it's 5. And the next method, let's uncomment it, is called table view self for row at index path. This method actually returns a completely instantiated and populated cell when table view needs it. As you can see, it uses cell reuse identifier. Reuse identifier is a stuff really cool because it speeds up the cell loading. It just copies previous cell instead of instantiated it from the scratch. It really helps you a lot to make your user experience really smooth. So let's select our cell, and let's say that reuse identifier is task cell. Copy it, save it, and let's put it in our use identifier right here in the code. Okay, one more problem we have here is this cell is static. It's not dynamic, you can't change anything in this cell, but we want to populate it with some text. We have to change the let to var, its variable, and also Xcode wants that we specify the type of cell. Xcode 6 really likes strong typing. So let's say we will dequeue reusable cell with identifier for index path, add UI table view cell. I guess it's pretty straightforward for you guys. And right here we can say that cell.textLabel.text equals cell. Let's save it, let's run it and see what we've got. Okay, as you can see, we specified only one section with 5 rows in it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and each of them has a text label called cell. Okay, let's stop it and let's go further. Actually, we want to populate our table view with some data we have previously saved somewhere or initially seeded data. To do that, we have to implement some kind of data source. In our example, let's make it just a simple array. Let's call it variable tasks and let's populate it with some data. Let's say cat, dog, oops, cow. Okay, save it. We have to change the number of rows and sections because our tasks have only 3 records: cat, dog and cow. To do that dynamically, we have to change the return value of number of rows and section function. Let's say it tasks.count, and no matter how many elements we have in our tasks, it will always return the number of these elements in our array. And in our self-row at index path, let's change the text label to it will be tasks at specific index. Tasks at index path dot row. Index path, for your information, is a specific class that, in case of UI table view, works as it has 2 parameters. It's called row and section, as we specify right here, number of sections and number of rows and sections. So our table view for each section and each row will call this method, and it wants us to specify for each method, for each cell in our table view, the returning value. Okay, let's save it, let's run it. And as you can see, our table is populated with records in our array. We have cat, dog and cow, and we can select them. Okay, let's add some new tasks to our table view. In order to do that, we have to add some kind of button. I want to make it in navigation bar. It will be at the top, and at the top right corner we will add a button that we can click and add a new task. The easiest way to add navigation bar to your to your table view controller or any other controller is to simply embed it into navigation controller. So select your table view controller, click editor, embed in navigation controller, and you are done. You have it right away. As you can see, we have in our table view controller we have the navigation bar, and we can drag some stuff and drop it there. Let's search for a button and put it into right bar button item, and the identifier, let's say it's add for this button. It will be just a plus button. Save it. Select your table view controller, click this Tuxedo Man assistant editor, and at the top let's command click and drag. No, it's control click and drag to insert outlets and actions as we did previously. Oops. Yeah, now we can set an action. Let's call it add button pressed. Make sure you always do easy, memorable and understandable namings in your code. It's really important, guys. In this method, let's make sure that it's working. Let's print something. Print ln add. Run it. Let's run it. Yeah. Stop previous application. Oh, and we have a button. And when we press it, we can see something printed in log. Okay, let's start our application, go to our code, and here we want to show some kind of pop-up for our user where he can type the task name and click OK, and that's it. Our task is created. In order to do that, let's create an alert. Let's call its variable. Let's call it alert, and it is UI alert, not view as it was in iOS 7. In iOS 8 it's actually UI alert controller. And let's specify title. Let's call it new task message. Oh, actually we don't want any message, so pass nil. And preferred style, it will be UI alert controller style dot, and as you can see we have two variants right here. It's action sheet and alert. So in iOS 8, UI alert view and UI action sheet are combined in one class called UI alert controller. Sorry, we want alert. The next thing that we want to do is to add text fields right here. In order to do that, let's call our alert dot add text field with configuration handler, and our configuration handler is just a method turns text field. So previously, before our code, let's specify the top new function. Func. Let's call it add text field. It will have only one parameter. Let's call it text field of type UI text field. Okay, and right here we can change some stuff in our UI text field, like set a placeholder or something else. So let's call text field dot placeholder. Let's say it's type task name. Also, we can have a reference to this text field in the whole view controller. In order to do that, let's create some variable that will be like called text field or something else that is understandable for you and for guys who will read your code. It's text field. You should specify that text field is an instance of UI text field right here. And we can say that self.text field equals text field that we just specified a placeholder for. Okay, and in our add text field with configuration handler, we have to call our method called add text field. Add text field. We will not pass any parameters, we don't want that. Okay, and also we want some buttons right here, guys. To do that, let's say alert, add action. And let's pass some parameters right here. Let's call title create. Oh, sorry. It should be UI alert action. And UI alert action can have some params like title, create, style, UI alert action style dot default. That's the be default, and handler will be a block. Handler is action in right here we have to specify methods, maybe some changes to our UI when a new task is created. First of all, we have to pull some data from our text field in our alert view. In order to do that, let's say let, it's a static variable, it could not change. Let's call it text field. It's of type UI text field, and it's equals alert text fields. It's array of all text fields you have in your alert view. We want only the first one and the only one. Let's say it as UI text field. Let's insert the value from our text field into our array. Yeah, guys, to array. So self dot tasks dot insert new element, and new element is the text parameter of our text field, and at index, let's say 0. We want to insert it at the top. And to make everything working, we have to reload data in our table view. So let's call self.table view dot reload data. Let's save it, let's run it. Oh, looks like something is wrong. Oh, and Xcode says what's wrong in our application. Okay, it says that stored property text field without initial value prevents initializers. Let's say, let's make it a IB outlet. We can initialize it, but the simpler way, also if you want to set something in your user interface in the storyboard, you can put a text field somewhere in your view controller and you can link it to your UI alert view via this IB outlet. It really will save you some code because tasks like setting placeholder and all that stuff, you can do it pretty easily in your interface builder. But we don't need it right now, so let's just run and see what we've got right now. As you can see, we have a plus button. When you click it, oh, nothing happens. And why nothing is happening? Because our alert view is not presented. Sorry guys. In order to present alert view, let's call one method. Alert, self dot present view controller. Our view controller is alert. Animated, let's say it's true. And completion, we don't want any completion, let's say it's nil. Save it, run it. And when we tap on the button, cool message pop-ups and you can type a task name. Also, as you can see, here is the text that we specified as placeholder and here is the title. And we have only one button, it's called create. Let's say first task. Click create. And as you can see, it pop-ups at the top. Let's create second task. And actually I don't like how it looks like because it just reloads the whole table view without any animation. So when we add our task to the list of tasks, I want to have some animation, like it slides from the top. In order to do that, let's stop our application and go to the place where we say the table view should reload data. Let's comment it out and let's say that we want animation self dot table view dot begin update, the same end updates, and between them we can do actually what we want to do. let's say let's self table view dot insert rows at index path here we have to specify an array of index path that rows we want to insert should be shown. Let's create a static, it's not variable, I don't know how to call it. Let index path equals ns index path, and in our case this index path should be set as for row, for row in our case is 0 because we insert our tasks at index 0. In section also is 0 section. Let's put it in array of index path, and let's specify some row animation. It's called UI table view row animation dot top, so it will slide from the top. Sorry. Save it and run it. Let's type something, create. Oh, and as you can see, really cool animation shows up. Looks like we are missing the cancel button right here, so let's add cancel button as well. Let's stop. Right after alert add action for adding a task, let's say we want another action. Add action, UI alert action, title, cancel, style UI alert action style dot cancel, and handler, we don't want any handler, let's say it's nil. Save it, run it, click add, and if you tap on cancel, it just hides. Okay, guys. Also, we probably want to make these rows move to be reordered, to be deleted, and all that stuff. And table view actually provides us a lot of methods that helps us to do that. Let's start with slide to delete. Stop it. In order to enable that function, we have to override a couple of functions that are provided by protocols of table view. One of them is commented out right here, is uncommented. It's called table view can edit row at index path, and we actually can specify here which rows can be edited and which cannot be, and also you can select different behaviors for different editing styles. All of it you can read in Apple's documentation for UI table view and UI table view controller. Basically, we just want to all the rows to be editable, so we can remove any of them. And another method that helps us to change our data source according to editing, it's right here. As you can see, we have some code in it. It's called commit editing style for row at index path. And if editing style is delete, our table view will delete rows at index path. But also we want to remove this row from our table view. In order to do that, let's say self.tasks or just tasks. It's really cool in Xcode 6 and iOS 8 and Swift that we can just say tasks. And remove at index path dot row. Save it, run it, and if you tap and slide, you can delete. Oops, we have a crash, guys. It's your first crash in Swift. Let's see what it says. Terminating app due to encoding exception, blah blah blah. Reason invalid update, invalid number of rows in section 0. The number of rows contained in an existing section after the update 3 must be equal to the number of rows contained in the section before the update 3, plus or minus the number of rows inserted or deleted, one deleted. And oh, actually I guess the problem is in order of it. So let's just cut it from here and insert it right here. Let's save it and run it. Let's see if it helps. Yeah. As you can see, the problem was that we removed the row from table view first and from data source second, and our table view was trying to pull the third row from our data source, but it just don't exist anymore. Okay, let's stop it. One more thing we want to do is to edit our rows, I mean reorder them. Let's create a new button. In our interface builder, let's say it's, oh, we have edit button, that's cool. Save it, click on Tuxedo Man. You can actually not just control click and drag, but right click and drag without control pressing. Let's say it will be, I want to put it previously before add button pressed. Let's say it's action, and the name will be edit button pressed. Type should be URL button item. Connect. Let's go to our code and let's say table view dot set editing editing true, animated, yes. Oh, sorry, also true. It's objective C style booleans, yes and no. Looks like, yeah. Let's save it and run it, see what happens. Oh, and as you can see, we have red minuses to delete rows, and edit button just doesn't change to anything. So let's stop it. We want our edit button to change to done button when we set our table view to editing. So if table view dot editing, we want, sorry, we want it to stop editing mode. And if table view is not in editing mode, we want to make it true. Also, about UI bar button item. Actually, we selected a style for it, as you can see right here. But we want to change the name, so let's make it custom. Let's change item to title, from item to edit, save it, go to your code, and let's say that our sender, which is button, set title. Oops, looks like it's not working that way. To done. And if table view is not editing, make it edit, save it, run it. Looks like we just messed it. Okay, just replace done with edit and edit with done. I'm sorry guys. Run it. Oh, now everything is working really great, but we don't see reordering stuff. In order to do that, sorry, we have to implement a couple of more methods. One of them is can move a row at index path. You can uncomment it. It will return true for all rows, but you can specify which rows can be reordered or not. And one more thing that we want to do is to override method called move row at index path. It's method called from BI table view data source protocol, and it allows us to make changes to our data source when rows are actually reordered. So let's say we want our task to be removed. Oh, sorry. Tasks at index path. What happened? What's happening, guys? Tasks and oh, sorry. From index path. So we want to have a link to our task at index path. Let's remove it from previous index path, from index path, and put it into to index path. To do that, let's say tasks, remove it to index from index path dot row, and tasks dot insert new element will be our let task. At index it will be to index path dot row. Let's save it, let's run it. And as you can see, if we click edit, we can reorder our rows. And also you can delete it. How cool is that, huh? Okay, also as you can see, if we remove something or reorder or add a new task, it will not persist if we stop our application and run it right away. It's because that our tasks array is stored in RAM and it doesn't persist on disk or I don't know, in the cloud, maybe somewhere else. If you have a couple of records, you can use a custom class for your model. We can call it task. We can actually convert it into data and store it in list file or in our user defaults, which are actually a really cool thing. But if we have a lot of records, it won't work smoothly because archiving and unarchiving big sets of data is time consuming and it costs a lot of a lot of RAM to do so. So if you have like 100 and more records, probably you should go with core data or FMDB with SQLite. But in our simple case, I will show you how to do archiving and unarchiving with custom objects. So let's create a new file. It will be Cocoa Touch class. Let's say it's NS object. It will be subclass of NS object. Let's call it task. Make sure language is Swift. Click next. Create. Okay. And in order to our iOS application should know how to save this object, how to convert it to data and store it on the disk or in user defaults, we have to conform to a protocol that's called NS coding. And basically it has just function encode with coder and init with coder methods. So in order to conform to this protocol, we have to override those two functions. Let's say our task has a variable called name. It's type of string, and equals string, just new string. Okay, let's say init with coder. In this method we should call super dot init, and we have to restore our name for a task from decoder. So it will be a name equals a decoder, so dot decode object for key will be name as string. Okay, save it, and another method, it's called function encode with coder, and here we should encode our object. Encode object. Object will be name for key. It should match the key we specified in the code object for key. So make sure that name and name match each other. Oh, sorry. Let's save it. Let's go back to our table view controller. Import our task. Looks like it's not. Let's remove it, guys. Sorry, I'm just learning with you guys. And when we do some changes to our data source, we want also these changes to be saved to our disk or our user defaults. Actually, I want to explain you a little bit. NS user defaults is really cool class that helps you to store values by key and by key. It's a key value store, and it stores on the disk, and you don't have to for example see if error happens when you save or you read or all that stuff when you do it with a separate file. It handles everything for you. So let's use it. Let's say function save data source. We don't want any parameters right here. We want to convert our tasks array into NS data. So let's say let tasks data is equal NS keyed archiver dot archive data with root object, which is actually our tasks. Sorry. Yeah. This method will convert in our array of tasks into a raw binary. No, it's not actually raw, but it represents binary in iOS. Also, we want to instantiate a singleton of our user defaults. So let's say let defaults equals ns user defaults dot standard user defaults. Let's say defaults set object. Our object is tasks data. For key, let's say no, let it be tasks. I guess it's simplest way to remember. And also, when everything is done with defaults, we have to commit changes to it. So let's say defaults that synchronize. Also, each time we change something in our tasks, like we insert a new task, we want to call a method to save data source. And looks like Xcode doesn't like our problem. It's just missing brackets. Okay, let's say self dot save data source. Okay, and let's copy that each time and put it everywhere we change our data source. It's changed here and it's changed here. So each time we insert a new task, we remove it or reorder tasks. This method save data source will be called. It will archive our tasks from array into NS data, and user defaults can store NS data. We put it as an object for key tasks, but actually we have one more thing to do. When our view controller is just loaded, we want to populate our tasks data source from our user defaults. So here we should say we want defaults, and as user defaults that standard user defaults, and tasks is just a value. Oh no, sorry. Want to pull a data from defaults. It's not a raw array, as I said previously. It's a data, and it should be converted from NS data to NS array. So tasks data will be defaults dot object for key. Our key is tasks, and our tasks will be equal nscade unarchiver dot unarchive object with data, and data will be tasks data. After it, we can call table view dot reload data. Okay, save it. One more thing I would like to change. Our tasks are just strong typed cat, dog and cow. I want to make it dynamic and empty array of strings. It will be initially it will be empty. Also, you have to think about what happens when user just first launches your application for the first time. He will not have any data in user defaults under the key tasks. And actually that pretty sucks. It will break your application. It will just throw an exception at this line because defaults are okay. They always will be returned by standard user defaults function. But tasks data, if user defaults doesn't have a tasks object, I mean object for the key tasks in it, it will return nil. And if you pass nil in unarchived object with data, it will throw an exception and your application will just be shut down. So let's make a check if tasks data, if it exists. We want to change our data source. We can say self or not. It's your call. And Xcode is not happy with us. Oops. It's any object. So we will say it's NS data and Xcode will be happy. Let's make another check. Oh, holy cow. Xcode really wants you to make everything strongly typed. That's how programmers are working. Something crappy happens and you have to fix it. Unarchived object with data. Oh yeah, I guess I know what it is. As array of strings. Yeah? Yeah! Yay! And we have exception. It says fatal error, unexpectedly found nil while unwrapping an optional value. So I suggest you guys use a really cool website called Google. And in Google you find everything you want. In most cases it will be Stack Overflow website with a lot of answers to your programming questions. Let's say Swift user defaults nil value. And as you can see, we have guys with same problems. Guys, I am back. Looks like I fixed everything. The problem was if you says in your code that you want something as data, but default object for key tasks can return a nil value. And the problem with that is nil value cannot be converted as data. In order to have both values or pointers to objects stored in your tasks data, you have to add a question mark after s. As with question mark, it allows to, if object exists, work with it as data, but if it's not working, if it's nil, it will just set task data to nil and everything will work great. So let's run. As you can see, I added a couple of records right here. You can add 1, 2, 3. We can delete second one and we can reorder them. We can say done. We can stop our application, and when we launch it again, we have 1 and 3 in the same order we set it. Okay guys, I hope it was not hard for you to listen to my poor English and to see my tryings to learn Swift with you. Hope you enjoy it, and in next video tutorials I want to dive in much more complex programming problems like working with web interfaces, parsing JSON, making HTTP requests, authenticate with external websites, APIs, and all that stuff that actually takes like 90% of your work if you are in mobile development for iOS or Android or Windows Phone. It's just the core things you use almost every day. I hope it will help you a lot and you will get interested in programming for iOS. It's really cool. Swift is really dynamic language. As far as I see, it helps you as much as I don't know what, because it really forces you to check everything, to specify classes as that this specific object should be only UI table view cell, or as previously we had the problem with our user defaults in our udidload method. So it's really cool. Hope you enjoyed, guys. See you later. Bye.